adults and children. In fact, young people played a crucial role in the success of the civil rights movement. Dr. Allen guided us through Kelly Ingram Park in Birmingham, where sculptures today commemorate the actions of hundreds of Black youth who participated in a Children's Crusade March on May 2nd, 1963. Organized by the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, these children demonstrated peacefully. Yet law enforcement officers attacked and arrested protesters, some only elementary schoolers. The sacrifices these children made were not in vain, however. By May 3rd, 1,000 children filled the Birmingham city jails, leaving the city with no option but to listen to the demands of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. News footage of police officers sicking their dogs and blasting fire hoses against the protesters aired nationwide, pressuring the city government, leading to public recognition of Birmingham's track record of racism and pressuring the city government to take responsibility. The actions of the Children's Crusaders spurred on later victories, such as the integration of Birmingham's lunch counters, libraries, and schools.
We learned about the history of Kelly Ingram Park in the 16th Street Baptist Church, located nearby. The educational staff of this congregation do invaluable work, sharing the history and allowing visitors like us to learn from the civil rights movement. But we also learn from the perspective of someone who participated in the civil rights movement herself. Several days after visiting Kelly Ingram Park in Birmingham, we met the incredible Joanne Bland in Selma, Alabama.
Joanne and her sister, Dr. Linda Blackman Lowry, who sadly passed away on December 24th, 2025, were among the youngest to participate in voting rights protests throughout Selma in early 1965, despite the attempts of the Selma police force to end their peaceful demonstrations. They were younger than any of us and had already sacrificed an incredible amount. By the time Linda turned 13, she had been sent to jail 11 times. Joanne was 11, and Linda was 14 when they and hundreds of other peaceful marchers were attacked during the events of Bloody Sunday on March 7, 1965. Attempting to cross the Edmund Pettus Bridge as they marched towards Montgomery, the marchers faced law enforcement officers who fired canisters of tear gas, chased, and beat them. Joanne was knocked unconscious. When Linda found her, she thought her sister was dead.
Yet Bloody Sunday did not stop Joanne from crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge during another march 2 weeks later, one which successfully arrived in Montgomery and which led to national support for the Voting Rights Act of 1965. Bloody Sunday did not stop Joanne choosing to dedicate her life to the cause of advancing social justice, and it did not stop Joanne from sharing her story in the civil rights movement, as she did with us and as she continues to do for many visitors in Selma. This is a photograph of Foot Soldiers Park, a project spearheaded by Joanne Bland, which she has dedicated to the everyday people who made the civil rights movement possible. These are people like herself and her sister, people like the young demonstrators in Kelly Ingram Park, but they are also people like us.
I'm sure that each of us knows of issues in the world that we want to change, but how can we? We're just high schoolers. Well, what Joanne showed me was that in trying to bring about change, we all have a lot more to give than maybe we ever imagined. We, like the youth protesters of the civil rights movement, can get into what the late Senator John Lewis called good trouble, using the power of civil disobedience to confront an unjust system and bring about meaningful change. Joanne and so many others, our age and younger, got into some truly good trouble. They endured violence, arrests, and even jail in order to be recognized with the dignity they deserved. Like these young people, we have the power to challenge the injustices of our world. Are we brave enough to use it? Thank you.
Thank you both so much. What an incredible trip, incredible experience, and this is an amazing message that you've brought to us. Thank you so much. I have a little bit of a different tone in my message, but I also want to say I think tomorrow we're going to be hearing from a group of students who are going to do a choral reading of Martin Luther King's "I Have a Dream" speech. Just remember that Martin Luther King Day is next Monday, so this is a really apt moment for us to hear about these protests. So next Monday is the birthday of my best friend. I usually say my best friend and roommate from college, but she really is my best friend, the best one I've ever had, and the best one I ever will have. And even though it's almost, heaven help me, almost 40 years since we met, whenever we get together, we are just who we are, plus just who we were. And it's always wonderful and sad and wonderful. We exchange texts when things that we find hilarious or our inside jokes from 35 years ago occur to us. I once got a text from her because she wanted to tell me that the answer to a clue in a crossword puzzle she was doing was the name of my hometown, a suburb 20 miles west of Boston. It's called Acton. If I text her and say, "Don't stand directly under the sun, you got a hat, use your hat," she'll probably text back, "Don't get married again, Loretta, it don't work out for you." If I text her that I'm tired and sick, she might text back, "Don't be too hard on yourself, you've been mostly dead all day." We're not the only people who have watched Moonstruck and The Princess Bride 16 times, but we might be the only ones who engineered entire mixtapes, yes, mixtapes, for each other around our favorite quotes from these movies. And there are some quotes that I hear and then I expect to hear Billie Holiday or Elvis Presley start singing. Like one, Princess Leia says to Han Solo, "I'd rather kiss a Wookiee." And Han Solo says, "I can arrange that." And then Eric Clapton starts to sing. So I've made a note to send her a card for her birthday. It is on Monday. A card to Jory is going to be full of writing because I'll start thinking that it's going to take up the bottom half of the card, if you've ever written a handwritten card. And then I am forced to go over to the left side of the card and then the back of the card. And I always have more to say to Jory than I have space to do it. I love writing to her and talking to her because my voice is true to my thoughts when I do. I always have more to say to her than almost anyone else, always more than I have space for. We have this storeroom of shared lifetime. She's someone with whom I shared a whole particular world, which is what you're doing right now. And any moment we can bring that world back into existence by connecting with one another. I was 17 when I went to college, so I made this friend when I was just about your age. It's a time when you get to choose who you want to be, how you want to encounter other people, what kind of energy you want to bring into the world, what kind of good trouble you might want to get into. The last time I saw my friend Jory was in Boston about 4 years ago. When we visited then, I hadn't seen her in 20 years. And still, it was as if we had just left the dorm and were meeting again in the dining hall. You are all right now forming some of these relationships, those strong friendships that may always allow you to walk back into them. And I hope that you are. And when we say that relationships are important, that's what we mean. We'll always want that powerful feeling of sharing the world that you can't get any other way than by meeting and being with others and then keeping them in your life. Each genuine encounter that you have with another person, when you bring your whole present self to it, creates something new in the world. And you create something new, and that new thing can make you warm and loving and optimistic. And that energy that you generate can be sustaining and bright. So try to stay warm and loving and optimistic today, or at least dry. Have a good day, everybody. Faculty.
Do you have a friend like that, do you think?
Yeah? Yeah. It's right there.
I just hope that for everybody, it's so important that some people say absolutely anything to, and know that they're probably gonna
And it's
laugh.
always just like normal that like one person. You have like a bunch of like best friends, and it's just like that one person like really like you just like
It's like, oh,
yeah. Whenever we're together, like we just like Bluetooth sync, and we always say like the same things at the exact same time, or start singing like the same song at the same part of the song at the same time without like
that's amazing.
yeah, we're really in sync. There was like one time we were eating ice cream in the kitchen just from like after the pints, and then like we just like weren't talking to each other, we were just eating it, and then like we just like stopped eating at the same exact time, put the lid on, put the spoon in the sink, and put it back in the freezer, and then looked at each other and was like, how did we do that?
Oh, it's amazing. Like when I text her a movie quote, like it takes her 2 seconds
Yeah.
to text me back with something. I'm like, oh, all right, you live there too.
Yeah.
Okay, seniors, have a great day.
Have a good day, Charlie. See you.
All right, juniors, have a great day. Stay dry. Okay, sophomores, from the front. Have a great day.